my gosh! It's the Harlem Ave. Like the Harlem Shake. That seems so much like makes sense. And my back hurts. Sitting on the chair.
That's sort of what your introductory chapter does. Where did this start? You know, we sort of probably all know the facts of when this was passed, but maybe give just sort of the real short history of
I do wonder why
the civil rights movement.
There is a school bus there, and there's kids in it.
You mentioned the juicy issues, and at times it's difficult to talk about the Voting Rights Act without delving deeply into fairly technical legal issues. So I'll do my best to do the brief history here. When the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965, it was a very dramatic, some would say draconian piece of legislation, but passed in response to very serious problems.
No!
The ability of people of color.
Dad, you're gross.
Vote. And they decided
what, the Owl Restaurant?
Yeah.
Kinds of sections.
What's wrong with owls?
Sections.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with owls.
Have to be periodically renewed.
Okay, I don't want to talk about it.
And the most important permanent section is Section 2. And Section 2
That's just plain
outlaws
weird.
discrimination in voting practice. And the standard is that minorities, or everyone really, deserves an equal opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. That's the way you go about looking at a Section 2 case. And the temporary provisions center on Section 5, principally. Also Section 203, which is the language assistance provisions. Besides Section 5 is the focus of the Shelby County case. It was the focus of the Boston Municipal case a couple of years ago. And that is temporary in that it has to be renewed.
Apparently you can't touch those fences over there.
Congress has renewed
the fences you can touch. The third
rail.
The rail, there's railroad tracks in that. See that one that sticks up? The one you can see? I don't know if you can see the real railroad tracks below it.
Well, like
those ones, see that one that ended right there?
Yeah.
That has 880 volts.
Holy cow, that's a lot of volts.
Yes, it would kill you if you touch it.
Yeah.
That's why they say keep off. High voltage.
Oh, keep off tracks.
And not just the tracks, specifically the third rail.
Yeah.
Because that's where the trains get their power to run, is from that electricity.
Yep.
They're electric trains.
Walk on it.
And it includes the 9 states, all of them, in the old Confederacy, the South, and then portions of 7 other states. And it said before any of those are called covered jurisdictions, before any of those covered jurisdictions,
kind of new thing.
Any changes to election law or election procedures, it has to be written by the U.S.
And there's a train. Okay, never mind.
The reason why Congress did that is because they anticipated a large number of problematic changes.
And do the Harlem Shake.
Inhibit or disparage minority voting opportunities. And indeed, the Justice Department has objected to literally thousands and thousands of proposed.
And we're heading to Chicago, aren't we?
The important thing that we need to remember for Shelby County and the current
that sign was right. It's taking about like 50 minutes.
And
5 o'clock, I'm getting
Section 5 coverage. If they have a clean record, and in Section 2 cases, there haven't been a lot of Department of Justice objections.
6 o'clock.
And they can clearly demonstrate that
yeah.
they're not making racist laws or trying to pass election changes that reduce the ability of minorities to elect candidates or the choice they
definitely taking a while.
Fairly straightforward.
The wrong way.
Shelby County does not qualify for bailout because of some of the recent history there. So that's why Shelby County is still covered. That's why they're going to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Right. Where in the Department of Justice are these the pre-clearance or the clearance actually given? Is this the Office of Civil Rights, or is there?
Hey, Dad, what do you see in the clouds? What do you see in the
Okay.
clouds?
Okay.
Seeing this guy's bumper right now.
That's one of the big pieces. The other big piece that you mentioned is the Section 203, which is in reference to language.
That cloud right there looks like a dragon.
More important today than it was in the past, just because of
And that looks like its tail.
the immigration patterns over the last 30-odd years. Is that issue been changing in its level of controversy over time? How does that issue interact with the other issues that are more focused on African Americans? The language should be, in certain circumstances, there's the need to provide
Actually, that kind of looks like
translated
a whale with a stump.
and translated ballot.
And then it looks like a plane under it,
Section 203 in the language
trying to
provisions
fly
are
it
more important
somewhere. I
than
don't
ever.
know.
And I have a pair of experts on Section 203 in the book. Roger Clegg argues very forcefully against the language provisions in Section 203. And James Tucker argues very passionately in favor of language assistance.
Well,
And we see these language assistance cases coming up in Canadian country as well. And there is
train. Butter train.
Going to school.
So,
Dad, we're not going to school.
more cases.
We're going to the chess tournament.
Well, it's almost like boring in school.
Work in this area, and one of the things
Okay,
that
that's kinda
I've been
true.
very intrigued by is you only get this language coverage if the local
School
community,
buses.
if a certain size of
Reminds you of
language
school,
group
yes.
makes up a local community,
Also me.
meaning that if there's just a very small number
Is that
of
a
people
taxi?
speaking a certain
It is a
language,
taxi. Oh.
they aren't
It's got a blue ribbon.
given that kind of
It's a winner.
translated ballot information access.
School bus.
Which is sort of paradoxical because those might be the very people
It's
you
the
would
same
be most
bus.
concerned.
I know. See,
about
remember
being
that girl in the back
disenfranchised
seat.
because of their small numbers. On this, the controversy between that you present a number of them in the book. Oh, was there any in particular that you felt like going in, you were on one side but came out feeling like, my either mind has been changed or I have now seen this issue in a new way? You don't have to sort of tell us which side you started and which side you ended, but any in particular that you were just struck by, putting these side by side, I really can see this issue in a much clearer way than when I didn't see them put right next to each other.
Well, I certainly learned a great deal about the arguments on both sides. I should stress that although I have been involved in some PRA cases, my role in this book was as a voting control editor. And I wrote the first chapter of the book as neutrally as I possibly could. And I submitted it to all the other chapters.
Whoa, that's rusty.
Represent both sides on the fence that
And that looks like it's just been beaten then.
Did I object even fairly represent?
Okay, that sounds weird.
Issues
The
presented
way
by
I
both
said
sides
it,
and they all
beaten
agreed
then.
that I had. So I think
It's
that
been
achieved
beaten.
neutrality in chapter 1. Of course, that is the only chapter of the book that is not written from an
I think that was just an ambulance.
perspective. The rest of them are written with either a pro or a con perspective.
There.
I think what was useful for me and what I think is